All right, so today I'm going to be going over gold and trade. Just let me get rid of all of these time. Hold on. Get rid of all this shit. One sec. All right, so there was trade in gold. Let's go here. This is a trend. Trend is going up. What do you know about trends? They turn. How do they turn? Not according to me, but according to Wyckoff, when the up waves shorten and the down waves increase. What do they shorten and what do they increase? So up waves need to shorten in time and distance, and the down waves would increase in time and distance. And this also case in volume. The up waves would shorten in time, distance, and volume, and the down waves would increase in time, distance, and volume. That's one way they end. The other way is they have a tendency to exhaust, and that's basically a climax. So I'm going to explain a model here. Give me 1 second. All right, so this you're not gonna find on YouTube, but I'm gonna call this the anatomy of a turning point, because this is what happens. If you want to know how to catch them, I can tell you exactly. So, all right. So what we're gonna do first is split it up into three pieces. The left-hand side, the delimiter or the separator, let's just call it a separator, and the right-hand side of what? Of a turning point. All right. So yeah, I just call it TP. TP is not take profit. TP is turning point. All right. So breaking it down structurally, we have a left-hand side, a separator, and a right-hand side. So these are the three pieces of a turning point. By turning point, I mean something like this. You know, that piece right there. I'm breaking it up into a left-hand side, a separator, and a right-hand side. And I'm going to explain this. Why? Because what's going to happen after that is a trend is going to form. So this knowledge of the turning point is very valuable, especially if you know, like for trading operations, day trading, swing trading, any fucking trading there is, because it catches the turn. All right, but the first step is to understand that there are a number of key behaviors and they have to be stringed together. So I'm breaking it down in three pieces. The first is left-hand side, second is separator, and third is the right-hand side. So let's go over the left-hand side. Left-hand side, you must have exhaustion. All right? You must have exhaustion on the left-hand side. Now, how is exhaustion gauged? Typically, exhaustion is gauged by a climax or a shortening of the thrust. Both are indicating exhaustion. The climax is that the buyers are exhausted because they have that one last ditch effort where they get overbought. They really press and the market gets overbought. So they're exhausted from all that work that it took to move the market up at the top of a trend. The other type of exhaustion is a shortening of the thrust. This type of exhaustion is more is like more gradual. And what I mean by that is it's very methodical in that, you know, you have, oh no, what I do. Okay, oh shit. 1 second wrong. So you have from high to high, and this is also what Wyckoff referred to when he said the upwaves are shortening in time and distance. As you see, this upwave is big, this is big, and now it's shortening. And the consequence of the upwave shortening in terms of time and distance is also that their thrust from high to high shortens. So the shortening of the thrust, it's the result of the length of the upwaves shortening. All right, so exhaustion is identified also by shortening of the thrust. You could also call it diminishing of the wave in terms of distance and time. So from high to high to high to high, you will see that the range of the wave from high to low is shortening because the buyers are not buying. So what is happening? As the breakout buyers are diminishing, the distance from high to high is diminishing. As the breakout buyers are not enthusiastic in continuing to buy breakouts, the distance from high to high to high to high is diminishing, and the pullback buyers are also not very interested in buying. So basically the entire demand of the wave, the demand of the wave is shortening. So long story short, the left-hand side must have exhaustion. All right. If it doesn't have exhaustion, it becomes very tricky. And why would the trend turn? All right. What are other elements of the left-hand side? Cause. All right. This is also very important because cause is important because when the break comes, it needs to take out, the more lows it takes out, the better. So I mean, you want like at least 2 lows to take out. Sometimes one is okay, but it gets tricky. And if it takes out 2 lows, that's really important because it took out 2 supports. So that's meaningful, especially. So that's why you want that cause there. And cause is not just okay, you know, accumulation, blah 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 blah. Cause can also be failure to go up higher. So imagine you're up there, right? And the market does this. So a lot of time white coffins will see this and they say, oh, this is cause. You know, this is distribution or whatever. But understand it's not just that. Look, 1 attempt, 2 attempt, 3 attempt, 4. All fucking 4 attempts can't go higher. They're stuck. They had tried once, they tried twice, they tried. This is an indication of failure to go up. So cause is not just thinking of it in terms of accumulation or distribution, but also from the other angle of failure to go higher. Indicates failure. Now, in the other Forex world, for example, they'll say, okay, we're creating liquidity. And what does that mean? That means there's stops on both sides. I really, okay, fine. You know, whatever definition you want to use or whatever reasoning you want to use, the fact is it got to go sideways, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So all these attempts are failure. So the left-hand side, when it has this, now there are minor things here that also really help. I don't want to go into them because it's going to get too complicated, right? It gets really complicated, so I don't want to go into all of that. But there are many minor refinements For example, volume off the top. One of these things is going to have heavy selling in the bars. Or a test, or a test of the climax. Like you got a climax, and then you have one more wave, which is a secondary test. But I tell you right now, these are the three things. And when I say cause, at least two waves. All right. So let's say, and this is like the bare minimum. So uh, so you want something like at least two waves. So when the break comes, right, these lows get, they're two lows that get broken. This is one wave down, two wave down. So when a break comes, it takes out two lows. All right. So this is the left-hand side. These are the key behaviors on the left-hand side. This is not just me talking shit. This is a lot of trading and seeing what works in all markets. And these three things is very important. Once these three things happen, game on. All right. So that's your left-hand side. Now I'm going to go into the separator. The separator separates the left-hand side from the right-hand side. All that is your change of behavior, which is nothing more than a big selling or buying wave if you're going long, right? A big wave. Let's just call it a big wave of buying or selling. You need that. You need that very important piece, because that is, you hear, okay, what's the left-hand side? I'm on the right-hand side. I only trade on the right-hand side, etc., etc., etc. What do you mean you only trade on the right-hand side? Like, how do you distinguish the left-hand side from the right-hand side? What is the difference? What is the key separator? The separator of the left-hand side from the right-hand side is your sign of strength or your sign of weakness, also known as change of behavior, also known as I don't know what, but that is it. That big impulse or whatever. All right, so we'll just call the sign of strength and sign of weakness. All right. So now this is very important, and I'm going to explain this conceptually first. The separator of the left-hand side from the right-hand side. Separator creates the right-hand side, actually. Creates the right-hand side, okay? What is this saying? It is saying that when you have exhaustion and you have this, which means that it's actually confirming the exhaustion. All right. So this move is confirming the climax. This move is confirming the shortening of thrust. This move is confirming that cause that built, that break. All right. So the separator, or here the sign of weakness, is confirming that yes, you had a shortening of thrust. It's not just, whatever, a little probe to go higher. Instead, it is actually, well, the way it's described is lack of momentum or exhaustion or whatever. But the point is, the left-hand side has now been established because of that. All right. So the second thing you want to see in the change of behavior is the big range bars. Big range bars that are a clear breakout. Okay? So when I said on the left-hand side you should have cause, right? Like right here, cause. When you here, like when it breaks, this piece should be, let's say we have this bar, bang, right there. All right. Now, what is this bar called? Yeah, you call it breakout. The way Wyckoff had described it in his section 7M, when he explained the uptrend turning, he called it the bar that broke the back of the trend. The bar that broke the back of the trend. All right, so I just called it a backbreaker, but whatever. It's just a breakout, but it's like it breaks that low real nice. Like it really cracks it, and you will see the range expansion. You will see the volume. It's very telling. So your change of behavior or your sign of strength or your sign of weakness needs to have a big range, increasing volume, backbreaker bar that is a breakout, a minor breakout of a low, like a breakdown or breakout. I'll say again, your sign of strength or your sign of weakness must have a breakout in it. This is critical because this is one of the telltale signs that yes, this is a sign of weakness or this is a sign of strength. It's not what you see on YouTube where it's just a big wave or I don't know what they do, but you have to have that piece. Your sign of weakness or your sign of strength must have a breakout. If it doesn't, your probabilities diminish significantly. I mean, I don't even take it. If you take it, you probably get stopped because what happens is a lot of times it's just a move down to support. That buyers will just come right back in and it'll continue. The trend will continue. You gotta, as Michael said, break the back of the trend. Break is the key word here. Break is referring to a breakout that breaks the back of the trend. Got it? So this creates the right hand side. It must have your sign of strength, sign of weakness, whatever, with a breakout. All right. So this is the second piece. Now you are on what is it? The right hand side. All right. Now explain the right hand side. On the right hand side, what do you want to see? Now this is where you get your LPSs and your LPSY, right? All that. All right. What are the key behaviors on the right hand side? The key behavior on the right hand side is okay. You know about LPS, LPSY. David Weiss used to call it the feather's weight. All right. Now I'm going to explain this concept and you'll see how clear it is. All right. So when you have a sign of weakness, right? Let's call this. Try to shit. 1 second. All right. All right. This here is your it breaks these lows. I don't want it to be that much. Whatever. So anyway, let's just call this your sign of weakness. I don't like it when it overextends too much because then the pullbacks, anyway, it gets too oversold. But anyway, let's just call it sign of weakness, okay? Now, you know what? Fuck it. 1 second. Ooh, there, much better. There you go. A little bit more. Right. All right, whatever. This is your sign of weakness. What do you notice in the background? There's a shortening of the thrust. What else do you notice? There's cause because these two lows were taken out right here. 1 wave, 2 wave. So just cause that cause. Broke those two lows. All right. And here, there's going to be a big bar. Very cool. Big red bar. Big red bar. That breaks the trend right there. All right. Now, let's say if you are trying to take a look at this leg down, you will notice that this wave is the biggest wave down, and let's just say 12 waves. This is the biggest wave in 12 waves. You're going to notice that quality. It's not a small wave because it breaks the lows and it's a big wave. How big is it? It's the biggest in 12 waves. What else are you going to know? It's the biggest wave. And second thing is it probably has the biggest volume in 12 waves or maybe 15 waves. Biggest down volume in about... so you're going to see these qualities in this wave that it has the biggest wave and the biggest volume in the 15 waves and at least 12 waves down. It's a clear sign of weakness. Like bang, it has heavy selling, big wave, big volume. Okay. Now here's the thing: when you're looking at the feather's weight, right? It goes up. Let's say the feather's weight or the LPSY, whatever, right here. Let's just call that. Actually, the best word is lack of demand. Yeah, lack of demand. That is very, it's very everyone understands it. All right, so this lack of demand. What are you going to notice about this? Now here is the key point here. This wave will be like the sign of weakness is the biggest. This wave will be the smallest. In like, let's say 5 waves, or it can also have the smallest volume in 5 waves or more. So this is the key, because the lack of demand is the opposite of the sign of weakness. One is indicating massive strength in terms of supply, and the other is massive weakness in terms of demand. So when you have very strong supply and weak demand together, what happens? You get a change in trend. Bingo. That is Wyckoff. Not the shit that you see on YouTube where you have some schmuck doing a sun climax automatic rally, secondary test, phase A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and whatever. That is a hypothetical hindsight labeling. Stay away from that. Those who teach it don't know what they're doing. This is coming right out of there's a study, it's called I forgot what it's called, but it's in Division 2 of the Wyckoff course, but he uses price and time, and you will understand exhaustion and all that. But anyway, long story short, on the right hand side you have the feather's weight. And what is the feather's weight? It is weakness. It indicates, it's an indicator, it's an indication of weakness, just like your change of behavior is strength. Theory, what the fuck? RNGTH. All right, so here. So the key now is this formula here. All right, now this formula, I cannot put it in mathematical terms, but you can put it in conceptual terms. A turning point that changes trend is what? Exhaustion plus strength plus weakness. So exhaustion on that left-hand side, let's just call it, plus strength of, let's say in this we talk about creating a downtrend. So strength of supply plus weakness in demand. So left-hand side, exhaustion of demand, I should say. Demand, forget the side. All right, so exhaustion of demand plus strength in supply plus weakness, right? Exhaustion in demand, which is caused by your climaxes or shortening of thrust, plus the strength in supply, that sign of weakness, followed by an attempt again by demand, which clearly indicates weakness, will break the trend. And that strength of supply plus weakness in demand. Strength coupled with weakness creates a change of trend. Strength coupled with weakness creates the trend change. Strength of supply, oh shit. Strength of supply plus weakness in demand creates a change in direction. And this is very, very rational and logical. If your supply is strong and your demand is weak, market's going to go down. If your demand is strong and your supply is weak, market is going to go up. So all I've done to that is add the exhaustion piece in the background. Exhaustion and then strength plus weakness will change trend. But this is the conceptual formula of how a trend, how a turning point occurs. And not just any turning point, but all turning points, yes, but this right here that can change trend. All right, that can change trend. If this is it, you need to link this conceptual formula to the behaviors that you see. All right, if you do that and you have this formula in mind, and you can do that, you'll catch turning points. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is finally you have weakness, which is caused by FW, but there's one other thing that I need to discuss, which is confirmation, which occurs when you make a lower low. What do I mean by lower low? Or I mean that after you have your sign of weakness, right? Oh boy. You make a lower low. Right there is your lower low. This confirms the change from change of trend. What did we see here? We see exhaustion. We see strength of supply. And you see weakness of demand. This is how trends change. Bingo. This has never been taught like this ever. But this is it. And I'm just sharing this because this is what works. Right? So I mean I show plenty of examples over and over again, but whatever. Right? So let's delete all this and you will see what I'm talking about. So this is gold. I'm just picking randomly, but you take any marker you want. All right. So you see over here, this actually probably climactic in the background. I've removed a lot of indications because it's just easier. What you'll notice is that from high to high to high, it's shortening. So you have your shortening, and for example, the high to this high is how many bricks? Only 2 bricks. It's only 2 bricks. All right, and even when that second brick is made, you see the selling pressure come in on this brick, which is the biggest down volume in the last 15 down bricks. You know, so and then this wave down. All right, this wave down is quite heavy in its selling. All right, now maybe I have to. I'll use a better example. So let's just go on the right hand side because I think I've indicated it better over here. I have the indicators, it's just easier. So let's say this is your trend, right? This is your trend. From this high to this high, you have distance, you have thrust. From this high to this high, it's not that great, it's not that great. Here, what do you notice about the waves? The last three waves are short. This is 3 bricks, this is 2 bricks, this is 2 bricks, right? The prior to that, the rally here is 6 bricks, the second rally here is 8 bricks, the third rally here is 5 bricks. This rally here, I think, is 5 bricks. After that, the attempts to go the higher highs, how many bricks? 3, 2, and 2. What's the distance from high to high? 1. What is that? Shortening of the thrust. Why is that? It's exhaustion. Now, you might say, well, what about, it's not exhaustion. What else is, okay, so it's also known as lack of momentum. Like on any momentum indicator here, there would be some type of divergence. There should be a divergence. Let me see if there is, I don't know, 1 second. Yeah, I've added RSI. What do you know? It's the 14 period RSI. From high to high to high, what do you notice? Divergence. Now, shortening of the thrust will be registered on any indicator as divergence. All right. I'm not saying that every divergence is a shortening of the thrust. What I am saying is pretty much the majority of shortening of the thrust, when you get it, will create divergence for sure. All right, because the waves are getting shorter and it just shows divergence. All right, so I'm not going to go into too deep on that, but that's the idea. All right, I'm going to get rid of this. Because if you know how to read shortening of the thrust, you don't need an indicator for divergence. Because you already know it's diverging. Why? Because diverging indicates lack of momentum. Shortening of the thrust also indicating lack of momentum. Therefore, divergence and shortening of the thrust will always both be there when there is lack of momentum. See what I do. Anyway, so it goes up here, and what do you get? So we have the left-hand side established. Why? Because of divergence. Now what do you get? Now you get selling. What does the selling do? It creates the right-hand side. Now, one thing's for sure, I don't like this selling as much as I like the one after it, right? But it gets picked up. And the reason is that yes, we have cause. Yes, it takes out multiple lows. But what I don't like about it is that we don't have a backbreaker bar. You don't have a backbreaker bar. You don't have the backbreaker bar. See, you see the volume is like 3 and 1 and whatever. But later on, when you have all of this cause, which is then the selling comes in, you do have backbreaker bar. Why? Here, that's why. You see the 5 and the 7? The 5 and the 7, look at the wicks. Look at the wicks and look at the volume. These two together are breaking the back of the trend. The trend is cracked. Right here, the backbreaker bar, they have cracked the back of the trend. Right there. Goodbye, Mr. Trend. That shit is done. All right. So now once that's established, where are we? You are on the right hand side. So I explained the left hand side. The left hand side was indicated by the shortening of the thrust, indicating exhaustion. It was also indicated by the small waves that are only 2 bricks and 3 bricks, also indicated exhaustion. Remember, when the up waves are small and the down waves are big, you're going to have a trend change. All right, because that is actually the definition of the downtrend. Downtrend is when the downtrends are bigger, down waves are bigger than the up waves. You must have a trend. you must have a downtrend if the down waves are bigger than the up waves. If the up waves are bigger than the down waves, you're gonna have an uptrend. So that's what Wyckoff was trying to explain by saying, oh yeah, in an uptrend, if the down waves are bigger than your up waves, obviously you're gonna have a downtrend. You have a change of trend. But he said it in a way that, oh yeah, you have to take a look at the distance and the time. And then later on, other folks said, yeah, take a look at the distance and the time, or they take a look at the distance and the volume. Anyway, so you have that shortening of the thrust, you have cause, you have all this breakdown, right? And there's your backbreaker. Bing, bing. What does this mean? This means the market's fucked. That's what it means. All right. And if you know how to see this, more power to you. All right. So then you have your right hand side. And as I explained, when you're looking on the right hand side, you're looking for the feather's weight. You're looking for on wave charts that are built off of bar charts, you will also find effort reward. You will find effort reward. Yeah, and I can show that right here. For example, this move up has 10. The volume is 10, right? The same with 3 bricks is 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 6. This is 10. This is 6, but this is smaller. Smaller wave with more volume is effort. In fact, a comparative wave here has only 5, has half the volume. So on the right-hand side, you typically have your effort reward, and you also have feathers weight, or what I'm calling lack of demand. Yeah, lack of demand. So this over here is all lack of demand, but the key lack of demands, in my opinion, would be like probably this one, or this one is the obvious one. Like this one is in big trouble. Why? Because it's only 1 brick. In terms of distance, it only goes up 1 brick. So your 1s and 2s are indicating your lack of demand. The 1s and the 2s, meaning it's only 1 brick or 2 bricks, are your lack of demand. All right. Here, right here, you typically have a test, right? And then you have that selling come back right in, and you have weakness in here and here because there's only 2 and 1s, and that is your, what is it? It's your fucking lack, LOD, right there. What is your lack of demand? Demand is going to be, like anything, you measure it in terms of price, volume, and time. I don't have time on this, so what can I measure it in? I can measure it in terms of distance. What's the distance? Only 2 bars. So 1s and 2s are weakness. They are your lack of demand. How else do you want to measure it? You measure in terms of volume. So for example, here is only 5, 3, 4, 5. Anyway, after that, you're done. Your right-hand side is done, and the trend initiates, and look what happened. Crap. It just puked. All right. So this has been an explanation of the turning point according to what I've understood from Wyckoff and others who understand Wyckoff pretty well. If you want more information about this, look up. I'll show you right now. All right, look up this. This was this I got from Division 2 of Wyckoff course. Look it up, and basically he has a study. I have a snapshot of it, and but it's in terms of price and time. And here he mentions that right here on point EFGG, G here is your 30 minutes going down 3 points. So both time and price are confirming that it's a big wave. And prior to that, you have your climax, which is a 40-minute wave that lasts 4.5 points, which is the biggest up wave in the background. That your climax followed by your sign of weakness or change of behavior. And then point H is a very small wave, which has 1/4 the time and distance of the climax. 1/4 and 1/3. So again, it's the same thing. Left-hand side, exhausted. The delimiter or separator is a change of behavior or a sign of weakness with that backbreaker bar, and then finally a confirmation. And this is available in the Wyckoff course. Go get it online. Uh, or just understand the logic of it. And that's all, folks. Have a good weekend. Bye.